What if success is just an illusion? Something we chase our entire lives, believing it will bring us happiness, only to find that it never quite delivers on its promise. Think about the goals you've set for yourself so far. Landing that promotion at work, achieving financial stability, or buying your dream home. When you finally get there, the joy doesn't last long, does it? Soon, a new goal emerges, and that nagging feeling of something is missing returns. It's as if we're stuck in an endless cycle where success is never truly enough. How many times have you heard that to be happy, you need to be successful? It's a message that's constantly reinforced. On social media, we compare ourselves to those who seem to have everything: money, fame, recognition. We are bombarded with images of perfect lives, and it makes us think that if we haven't reached that level of success, something is wrong with us. The problem is, the closer we get to this idea of success, the further we seem to be from real happiness. So, the question remains, why do we keep believing that success is the path to happiness? Could it be that we're following a false idea, a promise that is never truly fulfilled? At the same time, by questioning what success really means, we open up space for something new, something that can change the way we see life. In this video, we're going to explore what it really means to be successful. Is success truly as important as we've been led to believe? Or is there a way to live with more freedom and lightness, without the constant pressure to meet external expectations? Join me as we deconstruct this illusion. From an early age, we are taught to associate success with happiness. Study hard to get a good job, work tirelessly to achieve your dreams. Success is the key to a fulfilling life. Phrases like these are embedded in our culture, shaping what we should value from the time we're children. We grow up with the pressure to meet these imposed goals, believing that once we achieve them, we'll finally be happy. But is that how it really works? You've likely experienced this feeling, spending years focused on achieving something that has always seemed to be the pinnacle of success. A promotion at work, a significant financial goal, or even purchasing that dream home. Then, finally, you hit that milestone, and for a few days, maybe even weeks, you feel a rush of excitement. But soon, that euphoria fades. A new goal takes its place, and suddenly, the thing that once seemed so important no longer brings the satisfaction you expected. And so, the cycle begins again. Success, as it has been shaped for us, always seems to be just one step ahead. We never quite reach it because, when we do, it quickly transforms into something bigger, further away. We spend our entire lives chasing the next thing, believing that it will finally bring lasting happiness. On top of that, constant comparison makes the situation even worse. On social media, we see people who appear to have perfect lives. They have the dream job, the ideal body, the picture-perfect family. And you wonder, why haven't I reached that level yet? What am I doing wrong? This feeling of inadequacy grows, pushing us to an endless pursuit of success that never seems to provide the peace we crave. But what if, instead of continuing to chase this illusion, we stopped for a moment and asked ourselves, is this really what I want? This is the transition to our next step, questioning what success truly means and whether the path we are on is really the one that will bring us the happiness we seek. What if the answer to all this frustration lies in a new way of looking at life? This is where optimistic nihilism comes in. You may have heard of nihilism, a philosophy that argues life has no inherent meaning. For many, that idea sounds terrifying, as if the absence of meaning would make life feel empty. But what if, instead of being something negative, this lack of inherent meaning could actually be freeing? Optimistic nihilism is built on exactly this idea. Life doesn't have a predetermined meaning, but that doesn't mean we should despair. In fact, it opens the door to something wonderful, the freedom to create your own meaning. Without the pressure of following society's standard script for success, you get to decide what's important to you. When we think about traditional success, achieving goals, making money, building a flawless career, we're really just following a script that's been handed to us. But optimistic nihilism invites us to question that script. If life doesn't have an inherent purpose, why are we forcing ourselves to chase a version of success that may not even make sense for us? And more importantly, why are we placing our happiness in the hands of these external milestones? Here's the key. When you accept that success, as traditionally defined, doesn't have to be the ultimate goal, you gain the freedom to live authentically. Without the constant need to prove your worth or meet imposed goals, you can find peace in simply being. This philosophy suggests that by embracing uncertainty and accepting that success might not bring the happiness you've been promised, you can finally relax. It's not about giving up on life. It's about realizing that happiness doesn't depend on external milestones. It's about finding joy in the present, without the pressure of always needing to be more, do more, or achieve more. With optimistic nihilism, success stops being an end and starts being a personal choice. Which leads us to the next reflection. How can this idea be applied to our daily lives and the way we approach success? Now that we understand the concept of optimistic nihilism, let's bring it into real life. Think of someone you know or admire, someone who seems to have it all: financial success, public recognition, a stable life. Maybe it's a celebrity, a successful entrepreneur, or even someone from your own circle. They have what many would consider the peak of success. And yet, when you look closer, you often find that these same people are still struggling with feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Take, for example, the story of a business executive who, after years of hard work, managed to build a successful company. He has everything he ever dreamed of: money, status, a luxurious home, and recognition in his field. Yet something feels off. Despite all his achievements, he still feels unsatisfied. He realizes that each time he reaches a new milestone, another one seems even more important. The happiness he thought he would feel from success never lasts. Then he starts to wonder, does success really bring happiness? Why, after all this, do I still feel like something is missing? This story reflects a reality that many of us experience in different ways. We might not be in the position of a top executive, but we often feel the weight of this endless chase for achievements. We work hard, reach our goals, but the satisfaction is always temporary. Soon enough, we find ourselves pursuing the next objective, as if happiness is always just one step away. What optimistic nihilism teaches us is that the problem doesn't lie in achieving success, but in depending on it for our happiness. When we stop seeing success as the only source of fulfillment, we begin to approach life with more lightness. Instead of relying on external milestones, we can focus on small daily satisfactions, on simple moments that are often overlooked in the constant pursuit of something bigger. And here's where philosophy meets real life. Accepting that success doesn't guarantee happiness frees us from the constant pressure to be perfect. We can, finally, start seeking satisfaction in the present instead of living in a perpetual race toward the future. When we think of great philosophers like Albert Camus and Friedrich Nietzsche, we see that their reflections directly challenge the traditional view of success. Camus, in particular, developed a philosophy centered around the absurdity of life, which aligns perfectly with optimistic nihilism. For him, life has no inherent meaning, but this realization shouldn't drive us to despair. Instead, by accepting the absurd, we can begin to live more freely. Camus used the figure of Sisyphus, a mythological character condemned to push a boulder up a mountain only for it to roll back down, to illustrate his point. For many, the story of Sisyphus is a metaphor for human effort. We work tirelessly to reach the top, only to realize there's always more to be done, more goals to achieve. But Camus argued that Sisyphus, in accepting his situation, finds freedom. He doesn't rebel against his task. Instead, he embraces it as part of the human condition. And in that moment of acceptance, Sisyphus finds peace. This concept applies directly to our endless pursuit of success. Often, we feel like Sisyphus, pushing a boulder of achievements, only to have new challenges appear as soon as we reach our goal. Optimistic nihilism teaches us that, like Sisyphus, we can accept that success as the world presents it isn't the final objective. When we stop resisting this reality and accept that life can be absurd, we gain the freedom to live more authentically. Nietzsche also offers us a liberating perspective. For him, the concept of the Übermensch, Superman, involves the ability to create one's own values, independent of societal conventions. By rejecting traditional morality and the need for external approval, the individual finds their own form of success, based on personal choices and perspectives. Here, optimistic nihilism and Nietzsche's philosophy converge. Both challenge us to live by our own terms rather than following a pre-written script of success. By embracing these philosophies, we begin to see that success, as defined by society, may be a trap. True freedom and inner peace come when we accept that life doesn't need a fixed purpose or clear path to be meaningful. Now that we've started to question the conventional definition of success, it's time to think about how we can redefine it in our own lives. What if, instead of chasing society's expectations, we focused on what truly brings us satisfaction? What if, instead of measuring success by external achievements, we began to value it based on what makes us feel fulfilled? Imagine stopping for a moment and asking yourself, what does success mean to me personally? For some people, success might mean having more time for themselves, being surrounded by loved ones, or simply living in peace. For others, it could be the freedom to pursue their passions, regardless of how much money or recognition it brings. By redefining success, we shift from a life focused on doing to a life centered on being. It's the difference between constantly chasing external milestones and simply living according to our personal values, appreciating the small joys that life offers. In this sense, success stops being something imposed from the outside and becomes an internal experience, something you create and define for yourself. This shift in perspective isn't easy. Often, societal pressure is strong, and the desire to meet other people's expectations can be overwhelming. But when we start to make space to question those expectations, we find that we can live much more freely. This is where optimistic nihilism really shines. If life has no fixed meaning, why should we stick to just one definition of success? True freedom comes when we realize that we can create our own rules. Success, then, stops being a race to satisfy others and becomes a reflection of what makes us feel whole. In the next step, we'll explore stories of people who have applied this shift in perspective and found more peace and satisfaction by redefining what it means to be successful. Now, I want to share a personal story. For a long time, I too fell into the trap of believing that success was the key to happiness. I spent years chasing goals, thinking that if I could just achieve certain milestones, I would finally feel complete. A promotion, recognition, the accomplishment of specific projects. All of this seemed like the pathway to what I thought was a successful life. I remember a specific moment when this became very clear. I had just reached a major professional goal that I had worked so hard for. I spent months dedicating myself, working longer hours, sacrificing leisure time and moments with friends and family. When I finally achieved that goal, the rush of excitement was strong. But, to my surprise, it didn't last long. Within a few days, I was already anxious, thinking about the next step, the next goal to be achieved. That accomplishment, which I thought would bring lasting happiness, quickly became just another item crossed off my list. It was in that moment that I began to question, why is the happiness I expected never lasting? Why, despite achieving what I believed to be success, do I still feel incomplete? It took a long process of reflection to realize that the problem wasn't in achieving success itself, but in how I defined it. I was constantly measuring my life by external standards, seeking validation and recognition from others, instead of asking myself what really mattered to me. When I finally allowed myself to redefine what success meant, everything changed. I realized that, for me, success wasn't about making more money, getting more recognition, or holding a prominent title. Success became about having time for myself, for the things I love, and for the people who bring me happiness. Success was about living more peacefully, without the constant pressure of proving something to the world. And it was by embracing optimistic nihilism that I freed myself from this endless pursuit. Just like me, many of us are trapped in a definition of success that's been imposed on us. But when we allow ourselves to reevaluate what truly makes us happy, we can discover a much lighter and more satisfying path. Now that we've explored the concept of optimistic nihilism and how it can redefine success, let's talk about how you can start applying it to your everyday life. The good news is that this philosophy doesn't require drastic overnight changes. Instead, it begins with small shifts in mindset that can lead to significant impact over time. The first tip is, let go of external expectations. Take a moment to reflect on the goals you've set for yourself. Ask yourself, are these goals truly mine? Or did I set them because I felt I needed to meet someone else's expectations, be it society's, families, or even social media's? This is a powerful step, as it forces us to separate what we genuinely want from what we believe we should want. Next, start valuing the present. Optimistic nihilism teaches us that if life has no inherent purpose, then the present moment is all we have. So, why not make the most of it? Instead of obsessing over the future, where will I be in 5 years? How can I achieve my next big goal? Try to appreciate the small things more. Simple moments, like having a quiet cup of coffee, spending time with a friend, or enjoying a moment of silence, can bring more joy than any future achievement. Another key tip is to embrace failure. One of the greatest lessons of optimistic nihilism is that failure doesn't have to be feared because it doesn't define who you are. If success, as society has framed it, is an illusion, then failure is too. Both are just temporary moments, and neither determines your worth or happiness. By accepting this, you free yourself from the constant need to succeed all the time. Finally, create your own values. Instead of blindly following the standards of success set by others, ask yourself what really matters to you. Maybe success, for you, means spending more time with your family, dedicating yourself to a hobby, or simply living a more balanced and peaceful life. By creating your own standards, you remove the pressure of living up to expectations that aren't truly yours. As you begin to apply these practices in your daily life, you'll start to notice a subtle yet powerful shift. Instead of being driven by the endless pursuit of external accomplishments, you'll learn to find satisfaction in the things that genuinely matter to you, in your own time and on your own terms. We've reached the core lesson of this video. Success, as we've been taught to believe, is an illusion. We spend so much time chasing external milestones, recognition, status, wealth, that we forget these goals were never a guarantee of happiness. What happens when we finally reach those goals? The cycle starts again, and we're consumed by the need to achieve something even bigger. It's a cycle that, if left unchallenged, can last a lifetime. But by understanding that this version of success is not absolute, we set ourselves free. True freedom comes when we let go of the need to follow society's script for success and start writing our own. Optimistic nihilism shows us that when we accept that success, like life itself, has no fixed meaning, we can release the pressure to meet external expectations. This doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or ceasing to strive for growth. Quite the opposite. It means you can now do so with more lightness, without the constant need for external validation. You can find satisfaction in each small step, without needing success to be measured by grand achievements or expectations that aren't truly yours. Remember, happiness isn't in some distant destination you have to reach. It's in the journey itself, in the small, everyday moments that you experience. When you accept that life doesn't need to have a predefined purpose, you gain the freedom to create your own meaning, in your own time, in your own way. So, the lesson here is simple. Success may be an illusion, but the freedom to live without the pressures of that illusion is very real. The secret isn't giving up on striving for something. It's making sure that what you're striving for is what truly brings you joy, not what others expect from you. Now that we've reached the end of this journey, I'd like to ask you a direct question. What does success truly mean in your life? Have you been chasing goals that genuinely make sense to you? Or have you been following a path set by other people's expectations? I want to invite you to reflect on this and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know how you define success and how that impacts your happiness. This reflection could lead to an important change in your life, just as it did for me. And I would love to hear your stories, your challenges, and the accomplishments that truly mean something to you. If this video made you think differently, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more reflections on how we can live lighter, more authentic, and more conscious lives. Here, that's exactly what we're about. Challenging what we've been taught and finding alternative paths to happiness and fulfillment. Stay tuned for more videos where we'll continue exploring these ideas and helping you create a life with more freedom and less pressure. And if you know someone who is also caught in the endless pursuit of success, share this video with them. Sometimes all we need is a new perspective to break free from a cycle that no longer makes sense. After all, in the end, success, as we've been told, may not be the answer, but the freedom to choose